What's up, Guardians? Profane here. Thanks for checking out the video. Trace rifles have become an extremely popular weapon type here in Heresy, and when Act 2 drops, this archetype is going to really excel thanks to new artifact mods like Overload Trace Rifles, Beam Medic, and Harsh Refraction. These new artifact mods will give Trace Rifles the ability to stun Overload champions, to heal their wielder, and deal out extra damage. There's not a lot of Trace Rifles in Destiny right now, but out of the handful of exotic and legendary options that we do have, there's some top tier candidates that will really stand out when paired up with these and other artifact mods. The Navigator, the Warlord Spear, the Wave Splitter, the Chronophage, the Microcosm, and the Unsworn. All of these are going to be terrific options, but there's one Trace Rifle that I think will shine much brighter than the rest, and that is the Coldheart. It's an exotic trace rifle that was at one time a PlayStation exclusive. This trace rifle features two intrinsic traits called Longest Winter and Cold Fusion. This weapon deals more damage the longer it's fired. As you deal sustained damage, you'll build up energy that will provide an 80% increase in damage once maxed out. You'll gain 40% energy towards this meter every second, with additional energy getting applied whenever collecting ionic traces, and that charge will be reset whenever reloading the weapon. Once the Coldheart's damage bonus is kicked in, it'll start creating ionic traces on sustained damage, creating a new ionic trace once every 3 seconds. Ionic traces provide 15% bonus class ability energy and 12.5% extra melee and grenade energy, so no matter what subclass you're using, you'll give yourself a reliable source of bonus energy. The collection of ionic traces is a crucial component towards this weapon's ongoing success, and that's because of how closely tied to bolt charges they are. Bolt charges are one of the most powerful sources of damage right now, and that has a lot to do with the Flashover artifact mod, which grants bolt charges with a 150% increase in damage, and the Coldheart will help us build up and trigger those bolt charges much more often, helping us deal out a lot more damage. When using Coldheart on an Arc subclass, Spark of Discharge could be equipped to grant you with additional stacks of bolt charges as you collect ionic traces. And with the Spark of Ions equipped, you would create ionic traces whenever defeating jolted and blinded enemies, but also when defeating enemies with bolt charges, helping us create a ton of extra ionic traces, which will give us extra energy and help us build up bolt charges. There's also a few artifact mods that will help us build up those bolt charges. With the Dielectric mod equipped, we'll gain stacks of bolt charges whenever defeating enemies who are jolted or blinded. And with the Photonic Flare mod equipped, enemies who are severed or exhausted will trigger a blinding explosion when they die. Enemies who have been hit by Overload and Jolt will be exhausted, so this will improve on our ability to rapidly trigger bolt charges. Keeping enemies jolted and blinded will help towards maintaining the damage bonus that's provided by Harsh Refractions, since that damage bonus relies on enemies being debuffed by a matching energy. We don't know how much of a damage bonus this will provide, but it should be within the range of 10 to 20%. So whenever we factor in the damage bonus that the Coldheart is already providing itself, this is going to be able to deal out some incredible levels of damage that will see this exotic trace rifle becoming one of the most dominating weapons in the game. There's also the Defibrillating Blast mod, which will come in handy whenever using trace rifles against Overload champions. When those champions are stunned, a bolt charge will be triggered. That bolt charge will jolt all nearby enemies, and in that process, we will gain 55 points of health, and that's on top of the restoration that we'll give ourselves whenever defeating enemies with trace rifles, and that's because of the Beam Medic artifact mod. Between ionic traces, bolt charges, and damage bonuses, there's a lot of benefits in running the Coldheart, so if it's been sitting in your vault collecting dust, then it's about time to pull it out. The Coldheart's going to be an excellent exotic to run on all classes. Because of the new Storm's Keep aspect, Titans do have some of the strongest synergy with this exotic, having the ability to trigger far more bolt charges than any other class. Hunters using Gifted Conviction will be able to easily slide this into their loadouts, and Warlocks using the Battle Harmony, the Cenotaph, or Getaway Artist will find a lot of benefits in using the Coldheart. Because of the addition of the Nobel artifact mod, you could even run this exotic in a double special loadout. Rapid Final Blows with a Glaive generates extra special ammo, so if you added that in with Reserve, Finder, and Scavenger mods, you would never have to worry about running out. As I said at the top of this video, there's going to be a couple of standout trace rifles during the second act of Heresy, but there's no trace rifle out there that's going to provide you with this many ionic traces, this many bolt charges, and this much of a damage bonus. That's going to wrap things up for today's video, but thank you as always for checking it out. If you enjoyed and found it helpful, then be sure to hit that like button below, along with the subscribe button if you're new. Both are greatly appreciated, and both really do help support the channel. If you're a new Light Guardian just starting your journey, or a battle-hardened veteran just looking for a new place to call home, then be sure to check out the Discord link that's down in the description and join one of the greatest communities in all of Destiny. And until next time, Guardians, this has been Profane, wishing you all some happy hunting.